are there particular sectors that you think are interested in? So like I sort of think of it as like what are the sectors that haven't really been disrupted yet by the internet? I mean, there's sort of education seems like a clear one. Finance still seems to be run in this archaic way where there's very little seems to be societal benefit created. Government is still seems to be we just saw the person who one of the FCC commissioners who ruled on the Comcast and NBC merger just went over to Comcast and what they call regulatory capture. We still seem to have incumbents with lobbyists running most of the stuff. And I think it seems like there's considerable risk that they hinder a lot of this development. I mean, so I guess what are the particular sectors that you worry about? These various forces, particularly with their influence through governments, stymieing these technologies.
Yeah, I mean, I think you named three of them. We're investors in companies that are trying to address problems in finance, government, particularly voting, campaign finance, and also healthcare. And I think it's just a general idea that the internet technology is really good at removing inefficiencies. And I think there's a lot of inefficiency in those systems. A lot of those inefficiencies, I don't know how you're going to address them because they're caused by things outside of the company's control. But whenever there's that sort of intractable problem, I think there's an opportunity. When we made an investment in a company called Vodafone, a lot of people said, that's an awful area. But all that company is trying to do is take this sort of notion of lightweight likes and social signals into different causes. And for the first time ever, I wrote my congressperson using it. Again, it's kind of pathetic that it took that long, but it made it that lightweight, and who knows where it goes, and who knows what the monetary opportunity is. But we think that, again, anytime there's that type of inefficiency, there's an opportunity.
Right. The politics and government's been a terrible place to invest. Education's been a terrible place to invest. But that's because the entrenched interests make it a terrible place to invest. The way you invest in those sectors, if you go against the entrenched interests, you try to disrupt the entrenched interests, not to service them. So if Vodafone, can be a change agent for the way elections are held and issues are settled in this country, then it could be very, very powerful, and it could be a good investment. I think education. I actually posted a video to my blog this weekend of Sal Khan on Colbert, and it was a little bit more humorous than serious, but it was Colbert. But what he's done all by himself, 2,400 classes. He's personally created 2,400 classes that he's made available for free on the internet. It's mind-blowing. That's like Wikipedia in a sense, what he's doing there. And when you look at there's a Chartbeat, which is an analytics tool on Khan Academy's homepage. When you look at that, just check it out next time you go to Khan Academy. You'll see that the vast majority of people who are on Khan Academy are not in the United States. They're around the world. And this is what you were saying about the global thing. If you really want to see how the world is changing, go to Sub-Saharan Africa, or go to Southeast Asia, or go to Eastern Europe, and parts of the world that have not had things that we take for granted, and look at how they're using the internet to get the access to those things. And I think that's where you see where the big game-changing things are going to happen. I think education will change around the world more quickly than it's going to change here in this country. And I think government is going to change around the world more quickly than it's going to change in this country. Healthcare is going to change around the world more quickly than it's going to change in this country. Those changes will ultimately, I think, migrate back to the developed world from the developed world.
I mean, take the TV industry as an example, which I don't think is as societally important as others, but I think it's an interesting microcosm for how government works, right? So you're an investor in Voxy, which is a company which is trying to do something new and innovative there. And the big challenge there is the tension between people that want to create sort of new set-top boxes, other things, and the carrier, the cable company that don't want to become dumb pipes. And then when the government goes and grants one of the dumb pipes control over one of the major content producers, like that's seriously stymied. I mean, I'm just using that as an example. That's just one I understand or whatever. But like it's a case where like you see, and then literally 3 months later, that commissioner went over to Comcast. So clearly, there's a quid pro quo. Like, I mean, aren't we going to like if Khan Academy gets serious traction, are we going to see entrenched interest in education and, for God's sake, finance? I mean, they basically run the government, right? I mean, like you think Goldman Sachs is going to sit by and let Prosper like disintermediate them? And, like,
You might remember that when Airbnb first came to New York, somebody got the.
so there's still is there any still debate going on in the hotel industry?
Well, I thought the hotel industry basically got the state legislator to sort of outlaw it. You know, now somehow did that get undone?
Yeah, it's being discussed right now. So,
Discuss?
yeah.
All right, you're not going to comment on it. Well, I'm not an investor, so I'll comment. That's bullshit.
And who's got a better lobbyist? I mean, you know, I'm sure the Airbnb guys aren't sitting there in front of the New York Senate or whatever with the.
Yeah, but you can't stop what people ultimately want to have happen, right? I mean, that's what the music industry ultimately kind of proved.
That might have been, that's a good case. I mean, I'd like to be utopian to do whatever, but the music industry we had the advantage of you could just pirate the stuff and they got just killed by that. Whereas the TV is a good example where they've managed to use, you know, the regulatory system to their advantage and they stayed entrenched and, you know, I mean.
Yeah, so, yeah, but, you know, my kids know websites that you can go to watch any TV show anytime you want. You know, I mean, if you make it so that people can't have what they want, they'll figure out how to get what they want. And I think, yeah, lobbyists.
What if those websites have to pay a much higher fee because net neutrality stuff is rolled back? And there's all sorts of things that can happen.
No, those websites aren't in the U.S.
But they don't care about them now because they're 2% penetration. When they actually matter is when, right? I mean, yeah, I'm surprised. You're always like you're talking about this.
I am talking about it, but I'm also I'm trying to take a long view here, which is eventually the world will move to the model that makes the most sense. And in the short term, yeah, you know, the system will get mucked up by the entrenched interests, but over the long haul, I'm pretty optimistic it will move to the place it needs to move to.